It's the favourite segment of the week. Let's get into some hot takes. Haydon, are you ready?
I am. Let's get some spice.
So, the first hot take is Alex from The Race.
Ooh.
And he says Daniel Ricciardo should thank Netflix for his job, as it's not his race results keeping him in F1.
That is spicy. And I've already angered a lot of Daniel Ricciardo fans this week, and there's going to be more Daniel Ricciardo fans angry, and they're going to be finding, as I tell you, they're going to break down every piece of his performance and tell you why he deserves a spot in Formula 1. I think he comes with, sometimes with drivers with experience and with that caliber of getting race wins, you look at them and say, yeah, no, there is that performance there, there's that driver there, they've won races. I am now starting to think that with him, and also coming through the Red Bull program, that maybe through Red Bull program, drivers peak too early. We saw it with Sebastian Vettel. He had those 4 seasons where he dominated the sport, went to Ferrari, was still a very strong driver, but then mistakes started to creep in. And I don't think towards the tail end of his career, okay, yes, he wasn't in the top form, and Kai was in the Aston, and the Ferrari wasn't that great for his last season, but I don't think we saw the Sebastian Vettel that we saw in his dominating years. And I think it's the same with Ricciardo. He came into Red Bull, like literally driver of the season 2014. Had they had a car capable of fighting for the championship, I think he actually would have given both Hamilton and Rosberg a run for their money. And I think he was very strong against Max Verstappen. I don't think you could easily say Max Verstappen dominated Ricciardo, but I don't think you could have said the other way, that Ricciardo dominated Max Verstappen. But I think he was strong in Renault. McLaren wasn't good. And now we're seeing it again in RB, where Yuki Tsunoda is beating him. And yeah, maybe it is the fact that Netflix
So you're agreeing with the statement?
I think potentially, because, you know, Red Bull brought him on, part of the team, they brought him back to the family. Of course, they have a good relationship with him and want to get Daniel Ricciardo of old. But he was also very good in that role to do the jobs that they didn't want Max and Checo doing, you know, in front of the media, and being that personality that he is so great at being. Obviously, he wants to be a racing driver, but he is a great personality as well. And I think like brands want to be a part of that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think there's a bit of truth in it. I still think there's a very strong, incredible driver there. We saw in Mexico, and I keep on banging on about Mexico, but it was a fantastic result for him. But he needs more of those.
I actually agree, and I don't want to agree. I hear exactly what you're saying, Haydon, because I think he was a strong driver, and he is a strong driver, but unfortunately we don't see it as much anymore, like you've mentioned. So why is he in F1 then? It is because he is very marketable. He will bring the sponsors, the fans love him. He really is, I'd say, a brand's dream, because they know he's going to get all that attention. That's probably the reason you've got a good driver who's also very marketable. Put that together and there's your components. So maybe that is why he's in it. I don't want to believe that though. I would counteract that if he was in a different team. If I saw him again in a stronger car.
How many teams does he have to go through now?
But the cars that he's been in previously, you know, they were the top end of the midfield.
McLaren was the top end of the midfield.
So let's see. Let's put him in a Ferrari. Let's put him in a Red Bull.
Okay.
Not Mercedes anymore. Let's put him in a Ferrari or Red Bull, and then I could make a decision accurately on he's just in this now because, you know, he's marketable. Yeah. Okay, what are you rating
That's
that
spicy.
hot take?
It's a 5. It's spicy. Daniel Ricciardo fans, we've got the engagement this week, because I tell you, those Ricciardo fans, they're typing furiously.
In the
their keyboard's on fire. Like that's how fast they're typing right now.
Okay, you're going to give it a 5. I'm going to go for a 4. You know, there's enough to debate there, but again, there's not enough evidence to make an accurate decision. So I'm going to go for a 4. The next hot take is Ferrari need to think of a way of rescinding Hamilton's contract and either keeping Sainz on or passing the baton to Bearman. And that's F1L that sent that in.
Ooh, I think this is someone who loves junior drivers. And I know there's a lot of people out there, and that's fair enough. But I don't think you can look at someone who's a 7-time world champion and say, yeah, we need to get rid of his contract, get him out there. I'm like, what do you mean a 7-time world champion doesn't deserve a seat and a junior driver does? So it's one of those things where I don't think you can say, okay, yeah, the season hasn't been great for Hamilton compared to Russell, but, you know, how much of that can you put on your conspiracy theorist hat and say, okay, Mercedes now fully tailored to George Russell, he's the future of the team. Lewis Hamilton's going at the end of the season, you know, so they're going to clearly cater a bit more to George. But Hamilton, at the start of any season, he's on snooze mode, right? He's hitting snooze on his alarm. he'll wake up in 5 races time and then he'll start burning the wick and start, tearing it up a little bit more.
You can't get angry at Hamilton going to Ferrari. That's a great move for F1. You really can't. I think it's going to be really exciting. Yeah, okay, if he takes a bit of a snooze at the start of the season, it's still going to be amazing to see him in that Ferrari. So, if anything, it should be other teams that are keeping other drivers, I'm not going to name names, but other drivers in there for other reasons.
Look at Aston Martin. You stay away.
No, I'd never. Take out some of those drivers. Don't take out a 7-time world champion and be angry that he might be taking the seat of someone else.
He has the luxury to retire whenever he wants to retire. Same as Fernando Alonso. They deserve to be in that sport as long as they want. Kimi Räikkönen for so many years, everyone's like, why is he still here? He just wants to go racing. He doesn't really care too much about it. He's still had good performances. And he's a world champion. He deserves to be there as long as he wants. I
think they will leave when it's their time, whether it's their decision or if it's the team's decision. They will go at the appropriate time if they're a very deserving driver.
And Ollie Bearman coming in, very strong performance. But, I want to play devil's advocate here. And Nick de Vries had a very strong performance in the Williams and scored a single point. And look how that turned out for AlphaTauri when he jumped in as a full-time driver. So one performance doesn't necessarily mean you are the greatest driver of all time. And you are deserving of a seat. But I do agree that he is deserving of a seat when his time comes. So we're rating that. I'm going with over 4. It's a spicy one. It's not quite as spicy as the Ricciardo one. I don't think as many people are going to be burning their keyboards by typing. Yeah,
I think because I've got a strong opinion that actually counteracts that, I'm going with a 3. I'm going with a 3. It's spicy, it's debatable, but don't agree. It's time for our last hot take. So at the Kyle Deck says, Max going to Merc in 2025 would immediately make F1 the most exciting it has been in decades, maybe ever.
Yes. Fully agree.
You agree?
With it. Fully agree with it. 2025, if that happened, as I said, Max Verstappen to Merc, Fernando Alonso to Red Bull, maybe Sainz to Red Bull as well, replacing Checo. You already know if Red Bull, they're not going to lose their performance. And if Mercedes are strong, then you've got Max Verstappen chasing that down. I think it would be really interesting to see Max Verstappen in a car that isn't one of the top teams after he has won those championships. Because obviously we've seen him in Red Bull when he was in a team that wasn't the dominating team, but he wasn't a champion then. And I think there were a few little mistakes every now and again that would creep in, maybe 1 or 2, 3 races. Now we've got the most consistent drive I think we've ever seen, where I don't remember the last mistake I saw Max Verstappen make. Maybe Hungary one season, where he overtook Leclerc, then did a 360, and then was just like, well, I'll just overtake Leclerc again. That was the last mistake I'm pretty sure we saw from Max Verstappen.
Well, yeah, because he's even great in wet weather as well. So you'd think, okay, maybe when the wet conditions come in, we might see him make mistakes. He's great in the wets. Yeah. So Max Verstappen isn't really going to make any mistakes. I think crazy if he goes to Merc. Like I say, what is going on in the world of F1 if Max Verstappen's going to Mercedes? But it will make it so exciting because, like you say, all the driver swaps that are going to go on, giving other drivers the chance to get in that Red Bull to show, can they actually make the most out of the Red Bull, or was it just Max? Because, Perez is obviously doing great, but in comparison, he's way off Max's pace. Yeah. So is it really Max taking control of that car, or is the car, fantastic? Put someone else in there. If they can't control it, then it makes you question Red Bull. Then everyone's looking at Max again to being, he is amazing. He is obviously the best driver on the grid. So many questions are going to be flying out of it. I'd love to see that. So this is a super spicy hot take. I'm going with a 5. I agree completely. Silly season will be in full force if Max makes that move to Merc.
I don't think it's spicy in a sense because it's fully they're just speaking facts. There was no lies spoken in that tweet. No. So it's a 3. It's not super duper spicy. I'm not like, oh my god, damn, that is spicy. Hot take. This is facts. What they're saying is just facts. To the point, I'll just go with a 1 actually, because they're just speaking facts. This move is going to happen for me. I've already signed, sealed, and delivered it in my head.
Show there, Haydon. A 1.
It's going to happen.
But that is so spicy.
And it's going to happen. I'm now believing it. It's going to happen. Fernando Alonso, Red Bull, and we're going to have a banger in 2025.
Wow.
So I'm going to sleep until then.
Disagreeing going on here. Let us know in the comments if you agree with me or if you agree with Haydon, and send us in your hot takes. Don't forget to send it in and then we will debate them on the next podcast. Haydon, thank you so much for chatting with me today.
Thank you for once again having me on this podcast. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much for listening and watching. We'll see you on the next one.